Warning: the following episode of Reagent Required is labeled not safe for work. Listener discretion is advised. The following episode of Reagents Required contains spoilers for the movie Guardians of the Galaxy. If you do not wish to be spoiled for the movie, stop listening now. You have been warned. Hello, Internet. Welcome to the first episode of Reagents Required. My name is Thomas. Today we are with Leah. Would you mind telling everybody who you are and the extent of what you know?
Not a lot. Hello, Reagents listeners. My name is Leah. I've known Thomas about 2.5 years now. I don't have a lot to bring to the table as far as my nerdiness. My nerdiness pretty much encompasses Firefly and Left 4 Dead. However, I am very opinionated and will do my best to be somewhat entertaining.
Well, you don't have to worry about not being opinionated because, I am and most nerds are. That seems to be a thing with nerds. They like to have their voices heard.
Perfect. I'll fit right in.
But at least we don't have to worry about any needless deaths because Joss Whedon.
Because Joss Whedon.
Yeah. Actually, how these episodes are going to run, we're going to go into each episode with a general idea of what we're going to be talking about, but it will be a definitive stream of consciousness conversation. So wherever the conversation goes during the episode is where it goes.
Random tangents for the win.
Exactly. Yes. Any if we happen to see a rabbit hole and go ooh shiny, that's where we're going. That's just how it's going to be. Tonight. We are going to be talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy movie since we did get to see that on opening night.
Fantastic movie.
Well, you just answered one question because I was going to ask you right off the bat what you thought of it.
Oh, well, going in with having absolutely no backstory or knowledge of the characters or what it's supposed to be like, I loved it. It was a beautifully made movie, fantastic humor throughout the entire time, and I really enjoyed it. It had good storyline, it had good interaction between the characters. I liked it.
Good. Because the humor was definitely needed because that's basically what the Guardians are. They've never been a fully serious story. Well, let me rephrase that. The modern Guardians of the Galaxy comics have not been fully serious. They've always had some humor in it. So if it had been a straight action movie, it would have betrayed the idea of what those comics were, what the stories were.
I'm glad that it was a respectful homage to the characters
Indeed.
themselves, or how they were supposed to be.
Indeed. I did have some problems with some characterizations, but we'll get in that here in a few minutes.
I'm interested to hear about it. You know so much more about it than I do.
Well, the Guardians are the ones, like I was telling you earlier before the show, the Guardians are the ones that I know the least about. I know about several aspects of the characters that were in that movie, but the Guardians as a whole I know the least about. I'm trying to change that since I've seen the movie, but like I said, that's the one I know the least about. One of the things I was greatly surprised about was John C. Reilly. He was actually really good in that movie.
I love John C. Reilly in anything I've ever seen him do, with the minor exception of Shake and Bake. But I'm just not a fan of Will Ferrell. That's fine. But I have always liked him and everything. He's a very impressive actor to me, and it made me happy to see his very adorable face in this movie.
One of my friends said that John C. Reilly is a good actor when he has to be, but everything I've seen him in, he's played an idiot, and I guess I've gotten so used to seeing him play the idiot. It's so weird to see him play a decent character.
Ouch.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. For example, Adult Swim. He's always playing that Steve Grohl character who's a fucking idiot. Okay.
747 on that one.
Okay. Character from Brother, Step Brother, whatever.
That is a good example. Any movie that he's been in with Will Ferrell, they're always playing stupid characters.
Yeah.
In Chicago, he played the dumb husband.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at interviews or personal interactions with him on videos or whatever, he's very intelligent.
Yeah.
He's very well spoken, and he can sing, which is just a respectful thing in my opinion.
So can Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel can sing like an angel.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's actually a huge nerd.
That I think I did hear at some point.
He plays D&D regularly.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I like that.
So weird to hear that he. It's so weird to hear when you find out that people play some games like that. Certain people you just don't see doing that.
Well, he's always portrayed as such this big,
Muscle-
brawny, tough
musclehead,
guy.
yeah.
You don't think that people like that play nerdy shit.
Yeah. And speaking of Vin Diesel,
Groot.
Groot, the
I
big
am
tree dude.
Groot.
Yes.
I am Groot. I love
I
Groot.
the second time I saw it, because I've seen it a couple times since we've seen it. You saw it once
You
when we went to go
lucky
see it.
bastard.
When we went to go see it with the second time, afterwards, a comment was made that at least they found a role that Vin Diesel can they can utilize Vin Diesel's acting range properly.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Burn.
But
I
he
like it.
yeah, he was a pretty good Groot. But then again, I had no problem with him being Groot because he was fucking Iron Giant. He did the voice for Iron Giant, and he was great in Iron Giant.
Fantastic.
And I had no qualms with him being Groot because it's a similar type of character.
Well, it's different between there is a large difference between being on screen and being a voice actor.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's so much more that you don't have to worry about your facial expressions, your
Yeah.
body movements. It's just voice.
Yeah.
And they do the rest of the acting for you
Yeah.
in animation.
Yes. And in some cases, those voices are done well before the character's CG character is created. So they're actually in some cases they actually record the voices before the live action stuff is filmed. So they have to imagine what's going on when they're doing the voices.
That's a lot of pressure.
It really is. It's almost as bad as trying to act with a green screen. I don't understand how. I mean, with most movies, I understand how you get these weird acting events with say, you have a CG character that's like 7 foot tall, but the actor's only looking like 6 feet up, and yeah, I completely understand when stuff like because you're trying to imagine in your head what this thing looks like, and you never get it right.
Well, of course, because there's the big difference between what you think of and what another person thinks of.
Exactly.
For any, even with the exact same descriptive list in front of you, you can have a completely different idea what something's supposed to look like.
Yep. Yep.
Makes it fun, but also makes it kind of interesting when you're trying to draw a movie.
Yep. Yep. What I was saying, the reason I brought up back to John C. Riley.
Tangent.
Tangent. Back to John C. Riley. What I was saying about him is his character, Ramaday. He is important to another character that they basically set up with this movie to show up by the name of Nova. Nova is a member of the Nova Corp, and he basically is given his powers by Ramaday when he dies. Basically, okay, that's. Let's go to the first thing I disliked about this movie was the portrayal of the Nova Corp.
Okay.
The Nova Corp in the comics have these powers that are referred to as the Nova Force. The Nova Force is a energy, infinite energy that's produced by living beings. Think kind of Force from Star Wars, I guess, a little
Okay.
bit. But the main thing that it does is manipulates gravity. It can also produce energy blasts and stuff like that.
Is that how they were able to link together to make that giant wall of
I was getting
shiny
to that.
stuff?
Yeah, I was getting to that. Yeah.
Technical term.
Yes, shiny stuff. But basically, each member of the Nova Force has some level of control of Nova Corp has some level of the Nova Force that they can control, and it's based upon your rank within the Nova Force how much you can control.
Okay.
But the Nova Force, largely in the movie, is non-existent, and that bugs me. That bugged me throughout the entire movie. That they hinted at its existence in multiple places, but in large usage, it's just non-existent.
I could see how that would be kind of important to know for future movies or for anything. For instance, a person like myself has
Yeah.
absolutely no idea what we're going into, has no back history, has none of the understanding that you do, even in the limited quantities that you said you have.
Yeah.
That seems like something kind of important to at least touch on so we can understand how this,
Yeah.
giant conglomeration of people is able to accomplish the things that they do, like that technical term, shiny stuff. I mean,
Well, I mean, I understood why they didn't introduce it in the movie because of the very fact that if they did, they'd have no reason for the Guardians to be in the movie. Because basically all the stuff that the Guardians were doing in the movie, the Nova Corp could have accomplished themselves with a Nova Force.
well, then why didn't they?
I, I don't know.
Movie.
Yeah.
Because he needed a movie.
They needed an excuse for the Guardians to not to go from being basically pirates and thugs that cared about themselves to something bigger. They needed a reason for them to care. And if you take away a group's powers, for lack of a better term, and portray them without it, then it gives them a reason to care.
Oh.
Otherwise, they're like they can take care of themselves. Why do we care?
Okay.
Yeah, but the Nova Force, I keep wanting to say the Nova Corps, excuse me, are basically the Green Lanterns of the Marvel Comics universe. If that makes any sense
It
whatsoever to you.
does.
Okay, they were made they were originally made as a parody. Well, I can't really say parody, as a copy of the Green Lanterns for Marvel Comics. They were created after the Green Lanterns came out, and when they were originally came out, they had similar powers.
Interesting.
And they are basically originally they were intergalactic police officers, but then soon afterward they became intergalactic police officers for their civilization instead of everybody else, which
Okay.
makes the Green Lantern sound like the America of outer space. We care about everybody else.
I
Yeah,
wasn't gonna say
yeah, but
it.
yeah, they were originally they that's how they were originally portrayed, and I guess I guess I gotta say I like the way they were done in the movie, but I wish the Nova Force had been introduced because that way you can have Nova show up later. Because the whole thing with Nova is Ramaday dies on his way home from defeating a specific enemy. Like I said, my knowledge of the intricacies of the Nova Corp are not as well as other things in the Marvel Comics universe, but on his way back, he like crashes on Earth, and as he's dying, he hands off his armor, which is what gives him his powers, to a kid by the name of Richard Rider, who becomes Nova. And since he's just given his powers by Alien, he doesn't know how to use them. So he starts fighting crime as Nova as he learns to use his powers.
Oh,
And then after about a year or two of having his powers, he learns that there's an entire group of people that have his powers, and he goes off and meets with them and then trains on how to use his powers.
nifty.
And that's basically the whole thing with Richard Rider or Nova. And a lot of people thought Nathan Fillion was going to be Nova, which would have been amazing. I just got to say. Um, a lot of people thought he was going to show up in it, but he didn't. No, Nova didn't show up. Though there's some concept art of him for the movie, which just looks fucking amazing. But I really would love to see a Nova movie. It was at some point in time. I think it would be cool.
I'd be interested to see it.
I would too. The other thing I had a problem with, the biggest problem I had with that movie was Ronan. Ronan the Accuser was completely out of character in that movie. His characterization makes sense in the movie, but that's not him.
How did it differ from the actual character?
Well, Ronan the Accuser in the comics, he is. Okay, let's start off with his name, Ronan the Accuser. The Accuser is not a nickname, it's a title. There's an entire group of people called the Accusers in the Kree Empire. They're basically military judge, jury, and executioner.
Oh.
Yeah, anybody who has broken a law against the Kree Empire, the Accusers are sent after them.
Ooh.
They are though they are usually portrayed as villains in the Marvel Comics universe, the Accusers are neutral.
Okay.
And the whole idea of Ronan being like a terrorist, a Kree terrorist, and all that is far from what Ronan was. Ronan was as straight laced as possible. The fact that he was a terrorist in that movie was just so betraying of his character.
Well, that's not fair.
Yeah, but like I said, it makes sense in that movie. But
Well, yeah, you shouldn't sacrifice the entire integrity or personality of a character just for the sake of a blockbuster movie.
yeah, just the sake to have him in there. That's basically what it was.
That's not fair, and it kind of disrespects the entire character as a whole
Yeah,
from the whole history that it has,
yeah,
especially for people that are very well versed in this particular aspect of the Marvel universe or who are really invested in Guardians of the Galaxy, to
yeah,
someone who's got, heart and soul and a lot of time devoted to learning these characters and reading the stories and loving them. I
yeah,
imagine it'd be kind of a slap in the face to have a character so completely adulterated.
yeah. I honestly think the only reason they did him like that is because he is probably. Well, first of all, I think that the reason that he was even in it to begin with is the force feed the Kree into the movie
Uh,
because the whole thing with the Guardians is that to open up the intergalactic community into the Marvel Comics multiverse, which is fine and dandy. But the Kree and the Skrull are the two big names in the galactic community in Marvel Comics. They can't really have the Skrull, or at least the whole movie rights for them are a gray area because the Skrull are intrinsically tied to the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four's movie rights are owned by Fox.
Oh.
So that's why we didn't get Skrull in the Avengers
Interesting.
because of that very reason.
Well,
The movie rights for them are a very gray area.
well, that stinks.
Yeah, that's why we got the Chitauri, which is interesting because I think I may have mentioned this to you when Avengers first came out. The Chitauri actually are technically the Skrull. In the Marvel Comics Ultimates universe, the Skrull, or when they're originally introduced, are called the Chitauri. But then later on, the proper Skrull show up in the Ultimates universe and say, "Hey, the Chitauri aren't the Skrull. The Chitauri are another race that can transform into other people." But calling the Chitauri Skrull is completely blasphemous to us. Because basically, the big difference between the Chitauri and the Skrull is that the Chitauri change appearance by consuming what they turn into,
Oh.
where the Skrull can just change.
Okay, that does make a big difference.
Yeah, but that's like I said, that's the main reason why we didn't get them in the Avengers, and I would love to see it introduced in the Marvel Comics universe, just because of the very fact that the Kree Skrull war, because they're always fighting each other, are like a big thing in the Marvel Comics cosmic universe. They're always fighting each other, and that would be great to introduce it because you've already got the Skrull introduced. I mean, excuse me, the Kree introduced. So now you just really have to introduce the Skrull. They've already introduced that the Kree are warlike universe or warlike people in Guardians of the Galaxy. So
The story's pretty much already written. They
indeed,
just need the other party.
yeah, indeed. I hope they do. I hope they do. But on that, I think we're gonna have to take a break for a few minutes. But we'll be back here in a few minutes. If you're listening, it will seem like we have not gone anywhere, but we are actually going to take a few minutes break here and gather our thoughts and come back. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. We are now on part 2 of our first episode of Reagents Required.
Fabulousness.
We are talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. We just went over some of the things that I didn't like about the movie. I guess the time to go over the things I did like about the movie.
Yeah, that might be good.
Yeah, obviously those two things being Rocket and Groot.
Oh, I liked everything else too. But
Well,
yeah,
I mean
they were
that's
pretty spectacular.
okay. They were everything else within the movie was fantastic. Like the fact they opened up the Marvel's cosmic universe together so that people can play it. I mean, play it. Wow. So they can introduce it in the movie. I've been playing games all day, but
I'm gonna supply the very female like of he was nice when he was naked.
Star-Lord.
Oh yes, that was nice.
Uh,
But that I'm gonna leave the ovary laden comments alone after that one. It just had to be said.
I actually there was actually an article I saw about the 8 reasons why Guardians of the Galaxy you need to go see Guardians of the Galaxy. And it was all animated gifs, and each one of the animated gifs they had spliced in the scene with him putting
Are
on
you
his shirt.
serious?
Every last one of them was spliced in somewhere. Was that? And whenever they wrote the title, they wrote the actual reason, they mixed the word ab into it somewhere.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was yeah. Whatever.
I love it.
Whatever.
With all the movies now, whenever there is a leading man in these dirty movies like Pacific Rim or this movie or whatever movie it is, it seems now that you're going to have the muscle-bound star guy. They're trying it just seems like a requirement now.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure how I feel about that because it's not necessary if for anyone but the girls that are going with their boyfriends that are super nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand it. It's going to get you sales, but if it's not, is that what the character was actually like in the comic books? Do you know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is you got to understand in Marvel Comics everybody's muscle bound.
Oh, well then never mind.
Even Spider-Man's muscle bound.
He's so skinny.
I know, but I mean, Star Lord is your average muscle bound.
Well, he's also in a very physical profession, so
Yeah.
I can understand it. It would seem like it would be very beneficial to staying alive in his
Oh
chosen
yeah. Oh yeah.
profession, and I enjoyed it. It was nice, but it just seems unnecessary sometimes in these movies.
It's not. He's not as muscle bound as say like Drax.
Well, that's different.
That's a big guy. I
That
mean,
is a big dude.
have you seen him? Because he's a wrestler. Have you seen him out of? He is a big dude. I mean, they put no prosthetics on him. He is actually that big.
That's terrifying.
He is a
He
huge
could crush
motherfucker
my head with his elbow.
with his eyes just blinking at you. He is a huge motherfucker.
He could shrug and pop my neck.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, he is a huge guy, and they put no prosthetics on him. The only prosthetics they put on him was the artwork designs on
Of
him,
course.
and that's it.
That was beautiful work,
Yeah.
though. That was stunning
Oh yeah,
detail.
oh yeah, which he doesn't have in the comic.
What, really?
Well, he has some designs on, but it's not that intricate.
Oh.
It's just like like a line here and a line there, but it's not actual.
Oh, that's not as visually interesting in a movie.
One of the things I'll be doing when we're talking about this stuff is I'll be putting pictures up. So I'll try and put a picture up of what he actually looks like in the comics.
I would like to see that because I'd be interested to see the difference.
Okay, I will definitely be looking up that stuff, putting
Examples.
some information on there.
Yay,
But yes,
information.
Groot,
Groot.
and
I am
Rocket.
Groot.
Rocket was he was the best part of the movie. I originally kept telling people that he was probably going to be the one I hated I disliked the most, just because in the comic he's written with a Scottish accent,
Interesting.
which he didn't have in the movie. It was
Correct.
Bradley Cooper,
Yeah.
who is almost New Jerseyan. It's so
I caught that. There were
Yeah.
a few times it was like, okay, was he supposed to be from the
Space
the hell-
Jersey.
Space Jersey?
Yeah, Space Jersey.
I like it.
Yeah, but
It seemed to suit his character though.
Yeah.
Just the brashness of how he talked. It
Yeah.
just worked.
and they actually, while the accent thing is not that big of a deal, they kept the core of the character. He is basically a gun nut who would make Clint Eastwood drool with the amount of stuff that he can mess with.
I did thoroughly enjoy watching his creative process for
Oh, yes,
making things
yes.
that explode. It was nice.
Yeah, I loved it. The other thing with Groot, one of the things I wanted to tell you after we saw the movie, but figured I'd wait until we were recording. Groot is actually a prince.
Really?
Yes, he's a prince of his people,
That is phenomenal.
and he actually when his early appearances in the comic, he actually could speak like a normal person.
Why did that cease?
They in real world, excuse me, it was a writer decision that they did that. But they explained it later in the comic books that as they grow older, their vocal cords harden, making
Oh.
it so they can speak less and less and less until they just stop speaking altogether. And he's just gotten to the age where that's all he can say now.
Oh,
But
that's sad.
the thing is while that's all he can say now, most people that are around him in the comic books are like Rocket. While he's only saying "I am Groot," they understand what he's saying.
Well, that's good. It's not really so much an issue. You can't speak words if people still understand. you.
Exactly. Yeah.
That works.
But I really liked both those characters. Those are my two favorite. I also loved the way they did Gamora and Star-Lord. Star-Lord was Chris Pratt's amazing anyway. Just the way he's portrayed it. It's just
He
amazing.
seemed like the perfect fit for the character, even going in with absolutely no idea what the character was supposed to be like.
Oh yeah, he's. I guess the best way of describing it is Chris Pratt, I guess you could say, is as good doing Star-Lord as Robert Downey Jr. is as Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's like that character was made for that person. I've not seen a better casting decision than Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I think probably the closest one to it would be Chris Pratt as Star-Lord,
Nice.
just because the type of characters they are. And the other thing with jumping on a tangent here, one of the things I've always said that made Robert Downey Jr. good as Iron Man is because some of the de facto things about Iron Man is he has had problems with substance abuse. He's narcissistic. He's full of himself. He's a jackass. Robert Downey Jr. has had problems with substance abuse. He's full of himself and he's a jackass.
Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark.
Yeah,
That's just how
yeah.
it is.
The only difference between Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. is he doesn't have the money as much.
And somehow I don't think he's quite as brilliant.
Okay, yeah, I give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's witty. He's
Oh, he's
definitely
witty
the witty,
as
but
hell.
he's not that smart.
No, no.
No.
I don't. What was it? When did you become the from the Avengers thermonuclear whatever it was? Oh, last night. Yeah.
A thermonuclear engineer or something
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. When
Yeah.
did you become an expert in this? Oh, last night. Did anyone do the required reading?
Oh man. And the great thing is in the comic books, Iron Man actually teamed up with the Guardians for a while. He became a Guardian of the Galaxy for a while.
That's great.
Yeah. There's actually a really awesome scene in the comics where he sleeps with Gamora, and there's actually a scene where it's implied from the conversation that she's actually unsatisfied with it, and then
shit.
she gets up and leaves, and he's like, ouch. So he got hurt by Gamora, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really interesting to me to hear about when the different universes collide. I know it's the same universe,
Yeah.
but with how it's set out within the movies or within the advertisements of all of this, again, coming from absolutely no background of understanding,
Yeah.
it's really interesting to hear about how the different people come together within the same universe and how they interact.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be amazing to have Rocket and Iron Man in the same room.
Well, they've already said that eventually at some point the Avengers are going to cross over with the Guardians.
Fantastic.
At some
I am
point.
on board for this. Yeah, just let me know when.
I suspect it'll probably be around at Iron Man 3. Wow. Around Avengers 3 because they've already set up the Infinity Gauntlet. Spoiler alert, they've already set up the I'm going to put a spoiler tag at the beginning, so if you are gotten this far and haven't figured that we're doing spoilers, then go fuck yourself.
Ouch. Harsh. Dang.
Anyway, with the Infinity Gauntlet being officially introduced, well, not the Gauntlet, but the gems themselves have been officially introduced into the universe, and with Thanos being a primary villain of the Guardians of the Galaxy, I see them meeting up together, or at least some sort of hint of their existence together in Avengers 3.
That's going to be interesting.
Indeed, and I love the fact when Ronan uses the Infinity Gem, which people are saying was the power gem. I don't know. There's no definitive because each one of them is an aspect of reality.
Wait, there were 3 of them, right?
So far, there's 6 total.
Oh, 6 total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 4 of them have been introduced so far. I was wrong.
And what were they? There's the one from Guardians.
The one from the Guardians was people are saying was the power gem. I don't know if that's the case or not.
Whatever.
The Tesseract from Avengers and Captain America, which is actually the Cosmic Cube in the comic books, but that's not important.
Whatever.
The Aether from Thor 2.
Aether.
The
Remind me what that was.
black tar stuff that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm on board.
Yeah.
And what was the 4th one?
The 4th one was the gem that was on Loki's staff.
Ew.
That was the mind gem. I know that one for fact.
Okay, well they didn't really explain what that was.
They hinted at it. Thanos gave it to him. Was the big hint, and the fact that the thing with the mind gem was allowed the wielder to enthrall people.
Oh, like he did to Hawkeye. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Well,
broke
he
my
did
heart.
for most of the people that were following him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the big hint that it was the mind gem.
Interesting. Okay. Good to know. I'm learning things.
Indeed.
Moving on.
I forgot what my point was.
Oh hell, I don't know.
I don't.
Did we ever have a point in conversation?
No, never.
No, not really. Okay, so tell me more things that you liked about the movie.
I loved Cosmo's appearance. Cosmo was the dog, by the way, in the.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty great.
One of the things I loved is when Cosmo meets Rocket and they just give that stare at each other. There's a reason for that. Okay, in the comic books, Nowhere is where the Guardians call the home. They use that as their base of operations. In the comics, Cosmo the dog is the head of security for Nowhere.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Because the dog,
What?
in the comic books, the dog can talk and has telekinetic abilities.
Oh wow.
Because the Cosmo is supposed to be the dog that the Russians launched into space.
Yeah.
But he got it because of the cosmic radiation. And basically, the reason for that look is in the comics, uh, Rocket is always running afoul of Cosmo because Rocket and Cosmo are
Nice.
because Rocket's basically a pirate,
Yeah.
and
And he was head
Cosmo
of security.
head of security. Exactly.
Nice.
It's the same dynamic in Star Trek Deep Space Nine with Quark and Odo. They have the same dynamic. Quark is the bartender that's the black market dude that can get anything you want, and Odo's the policeman that's there trying to always catch them.
Nice.
Same dynamic. Same dynamic.
That's really cool. I didn't know the backstory on that, so
Yeah.
I understand that so much better, and it makes it so much funnier.
Yes. 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 Oh, and the collector was so amazing.
Benicio del Toro. Everything I've ever seen him in, that man creeps me out.
Yeah, he does.
Right the fuck out. But he was phenomenal.
Fabulous.
The coat.
The chick that blew herself up with the power gem is in the comic books is actually his daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But she actually is supposed to she actually was supposed to become her own character, but it's kind of hard to do that when you're like
Dead.
been atomized.
Yeah. Doesn't work out that well.
Yeah.
She got a fabulous tan for a minute, though.
Yeah, that's true. That she did. Yeah.
It's every girl's dream to turn black and disintegrate into ash.
Yeah. Well, we're probably gonna have to wrap this up here in just a minute, but before we go, what did you think of the after credit sequence? Spoiler alert again.
Well, without actually knowing anything about
We're
Howard
gonna
the
have
Duck,
to we're gonna have to change this.
there's a lot of things that I have been informed that my life is not complete without seeing. Howard the Duck is one of them.
That there has, if for anything, Leah Thompson when she's in her early 30s, late 20s, is fucking beautiful woman. I would. This is before Back to the Future, so
Okay.
Yeah, so she's a fantastically sexy woman in that movie, but that's neither here nor there. But
I always enjoy movies with pretty ladies.
and it's and the movie is very cheesy in the fact that through most of the movie it's a midget wearing a duck costume with an animatronic head on it, and it's just amazing because it's pure 80s just watching it.
I love 80s movies like that.
Including a part where for some reason he's on stage with a rock band playing a guitar and singing because 80s.
Of course, it's not the same
I don't,
unless you have a rock
I don't
scene.
even remember the context of why that happened, but it happened.
Because 80s.
Because 80s, yes.
It's 80s, we have a midget in a duck costume, there has to be a rock concert.
Yes, indeed.
That's the logic that went into that.
What do you expect from the Marvel movies going on from Guardians?
Pure, unadulterated awesomeness.
Is there anything you're expecting from them after seeing?
Honestly, no. Again, not having any of the backstories, not knowing any of the characters, nothing like that. I'm going in with a completely clean slate for all of these movies and just enjoying it as the experience itself.
Yeah.
You know, through these movies, I'm learning about these characters and their different aspects and how they work together. But I'm really excited to see how they mix things together and make crazy shit happen on the movie screen.
Yes.
I don't know a better way to put it. I'm just excited for more explosions.
Michael Bay?
No, not Michael Bay explosions. Exploding car syndrome. No.
Baysplosion.
Baysplosion.
Have you seen that? There's a scene from The Island that is actually reused in the second Transformers movie.
Saw that. I saw that. It was a comparison thing online.
Yeah.
That's pretty
so
funny.
lazy.
But hey, I mean, screw it. Why not?
Yeah.
Sad part is for him that people noticed.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Well, between one and Avengers, what was Guardians for you?
Between one and Avengers, that's a hell of a scale. For pure enjoyment factor, I would have to put Guardians above Avengers.
I agree.
Personally.
I completely agree. While I don't know, I like the Avengers. I like the idea of a bunch of misfits and nobodies coming together.
I think the Guardians did that idea better, though.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The Avengers aren't misfits and nobodies.
Oh,
the Guardians are.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying. I
misunderstood.
prefer to see the misfits and
Yeah.
outcasts come together to save everybody that cast them aside, as opposed to a group of superheroes come together that are already famous
It's
in their own
kind of already
right.
their job.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, I get that. I like that. And it was just the The comedic value, I think, was better. The character interactions were more, they seemed more organic
Oh
to the
yes.
characters as they were portrayed. And it was just a really more visually stunning movie.
Oh yes,
Like
that it
how it was
was.
done. It was absolutely spectacular to see the details that were put into this. Even just the space
Yes.
was breathtaking in how it looked.
And I loved the entire movie. I got a feel of an old '80s space opera, like Star Wars. I got a Star Wars feel to it. What?
I love it. Okay,
Because
space
because
opera.
because I mean it's a real term. It's space opera.
I didn't know that was a
Okay,
real term.
yeah, it's a real term.
Huh.
That's Star Wars is classified as a space opera. But yeah, it's just the whole because every time they went to a new planet they'd never been before, you had the little classification at the bottom
Yeah.
of it. The entire thing, it just gave me a feel of an old '80s movie. I realize that stuff's there on the screen, so they don't have to go into exposition in the movie itself to explain where they are and what they're doing there.
Yeah.
But it was cool that they put that much thought to inform the audience that way than to just ignore it altogether.
That's true. That makes sense.
And it just gave me a whole Star Wars feel to it, and I greatly appreciated that.
I just love the soundtrack.
Oh yes,
That was amazing.
yes, that was an amazing soundtrack.
I mean, hell, you were there. I was dancing the whole damn movie. I'm like Groot in his little pot.
Which you missed.
I know. I'm so mad that I missed that. My bladder could not stand it any longer.
Well, like I said, we need to go see it again
Agreed.
because I want to see it for a fourth or fifth time.
Oh, you suck.
Has the hubby seen it yet?
No, I'm taking him on a date tomorrow to go see it.
Awesome.
Yes.
If it weren't for the fact you were taking on a date, I'd be like, "Can I go?"
I know. I'm sorry.
But
No.
it's fine. You guys need to go see it. You guys need to go
And
see it.
then we can go see it again.
Indeed.
And then I'll be closer to the amount of times that you've seen
Yes. Uh,
it. I said closer. Not close.
Anyway.
Anyways, thank you very much for letting me co-host this.
Oh, no
This was great fun. I every time we have a conversation about nerdy things, I learn so much, and it's really fascinating to have a better understanding of the lore and the information and just how much of a genuine universe is created within these comics and within these storylines. It's really fascinating to see how much detail and how much information is within this that nobody that without reading all of the comics and without having that passion for it, you would never know.
yeah.
You know. So thank you for teaching me, sir.
Well, not a
I am
problem.
I feel like a Padawan.
Is there anything you want to plug before we go? I asked you this before the show, I know, and
Boobs. They're always fun.
I said plug, not squeeze.
Oh. We'll leave that alone then.
Anyway, you have been listening to the first episode of Reagent Required. Please like, follow, subscribe if you liked what you listened to. Leave a comment, both positive and negative. If
Oh,
it's
Lord.
negative, I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not going to watch it, look at it. I actually will. Positive, negatives, tell us what you like, tell us what you didn't like.
Ideas for future episodes.
Indeed.
Suggestions.
Indeed. But until next time, we will catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye!